The road to the 2020 Kentucky Derby continues, and this time we're going to the fairgrounds. It's the Louisiana Derby, a prep for the Kentucky Derby, a full 14-horse field with two also eligibles. Of course, they drew this race a week out, so we may have some scratches by Saturday. Let's take a look at how this race may shape out, starting with the rail and Major Fed. Major Fed looked really good down the lane in his last race in the Risen Star. That was the slower division of the two Risen Stars. Modernist, who won that race, is back in this one, and post position is probably going to play a key factor in who emerges out of the Louisiana Derby as the winner. Now, Major Fed, he was kind of bottled up as he came into the stretch. It was his first race going up against winners after breaking his maiden in a mile and a 16th. That was on January 1st. So his pattern is really strong. He had a nice little layoff coming into the Risen Star. Now he comes back on 5 weeks with a couple of workouts. And Major Fed with Joel Rosario is definitely a major player in this race. Mailman Money put together back-to-back wins and then disappointed at 5-1. He finished fourth in the Risen Star Stakes, but he gets a lot better post position this time than Modernist, who won that division, and I think he could be a factor here at roughly about 8-1. Wells Bayou figures to be the speed of the speed. He opted for the fairgrounds and the longer distance. The pace could get slow in this race, as this is going to be a demanding distance for many of these horses. And Wells Bayou, who was up near the leaders, showed some speed in his most recent start, the Southwest. And Wells Bayou definitely a factor on the engine in this spot. Chester Down has been kind of plodding along his last couple of races, but a recent workout, 1:11-3, indicates they're going to try to throw some speed into this horse, who has a little bit of a pedigree for the distance, being by Tappet out of a Roman Ruler mare. I think Chestertown is a type of horse that they could be tightening the screws on here for the Louisiana Derby. Social Afleet is going to be a long shot. State-restricted Louisiana bred, has ran 7 times with 2 victories. I think he's a little overmatched in a spot like this. Shake Some Action for Brad Cox, 2 wins in a row now, a maiden win and then an optional allowance win, an 88 and an 80 Beyer speed figure. Puts him in the hunt in this race, but I do think the son of Into Mischief is probably not going to like the distance. Now, Sharecropper had a nice win last fall at Churchill Downs. Disappointed after making kind of a mid-race move on a slow pace. Trained by Albert Stahl, he could be ready to fire a big race, especially against winners here at a big price. Royal Act has been pointing for this spot since a runner-up finish to 1,000 words in the Robert Lewis Stakes. Royal Act by American Pharoah out of a latent heat mare. Overall, this is kind of a speedier win early type pedigree. We'll see what Royal Act can do at this distance. I'm not as sold on his chances in this spot, as I think he'll maybe bet down a little bit after that second place finish last out, and a lot of people like his pedigree. Portos is on the slow side, but he can definitely get the distance. He'll run all day. Another son of Tappet was closing late to max player in the Withers Stakes. The track was a little bit slow that day, so his 91 Brisnet speed figure is probably a good gauge of his ability. He does fit Brisnet speed figure wise. Enforceable, the race time morning line favorite. Not sure where he fits here. You know, he ran a big race 2 races ago in the Lecomte. Then in the Risen Star, he came running late on a day that the track was a little bit front running. Enforceable, probably the most likely race favorite, but he's got to improve his speed figure if he wants to really be a contender for the Kentucky Derby. New York Traffic won by 6 a couple of races back, then kind of faded late against Modernist in the Risen Star. Lynn's Map changed tactics the last race, came from behind, had a wide trip. He normally can run closer to the pace, and with the fractions expected to be slow here, I think Lynn's Map could probably get the distance. Silver State keeps on getting bet down. He has been bet down to the favorite 3 of his 4 races. Had a nice workout, 1:11-3, and I think Steve Asmussen is definitely trying to get more speed into this son of Hardspun. He does have some talent. I think he's been getting shuffled back in his races, and I think he'll benefit from the slow pace in this race. He's going to be one of the top 3 contenders that I'm going to be using, Silver State, as they tighten the screws and get ready for the Kentucky Derby. Modernist took advantage of a rail trip and an inside speed bias the last time. Now he's got to go to the outside, the 14th post position. Both him and Silver State are going to have to manage a better trip out of those tougher post positions this time. Modernist, a son of Uncle Mo out of Bernardini mare. He definitely fits the look of a contender. I think he's getting better. Fraction should be slow, and I think he's the type of horse that can run all day. Question here is can he get a good trip out of that 14th post position? Mr. Big News and Farmington Road, those are the also eligibles. Farmington Road looked good while running wide in the Risen Star the last time out. If he does make it into the race, he'll take some definitely take some betting action at the windows, as Farmington Road has continued to work well out of the Risen Star. So some of my overall thoughts, I think Silver State is definitely getting the screws tightened with the fast workout, 6 furlongs in 1:11 and 3. He'll be competing in all 3 legs of the Louisiana series. I think he can improve. Modernist last time probably dressed up a little bit off that win. He had the inside post position, and now he goes to the 14th post position. Last time out, the track was a little bit front running later on in the afternoon. Now he's got to face a little bit other speed, possibly with horses like New York Traffic again, and possibly Silver State. And Enforceable, also a contender, as he should like the distance, can run all day. Portos, probably a little bit better than the Withers indicated, as the track was kind of favoring closers that day, and they went fast on the front end. Another horse to consider is Major Fed, who looked good down the lane in the Risen Star. He was probably running against the bias that day. Now he gets the rail trip. Who do you like? Leave a note, hit subscribe, comment, and share this video as we lead you up to the 2020 Kentucky Derby.